So from talking about the data that you can extract from social media to Andy Hunter, who is the CEO of Bookshop.org. Andy's going to be talking about the Rebel Alliance, Memories of Star Wars, and how Bookshop.org is taking on Amazon. So this one promises to be really interesting. Andy, how are you? Welcome.
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really glad to be here. I'm going to briefly take those of you who aren't familiar with Bookshop through what we're doing and explain a little bit about why we're doing it. So Bookshop is attempting to create an e-commerce revolution for independent bookstores to allow them to compete with Amazon for online direct-to-consumer sales. Everybody knows that there's nothing like actually going into a bookstore, talking to a bookseller, experiencing the physical tactile nature of the books, browsing the shelves. That's not what we're trying to replace. We're trying to augment that with a solution for people that want to support their local bookstores, but they need a book delivered to their home. And we want to do it efficiently and as easily as Amazon does it. So we created a unified e-commerce platform for independent bookstores that's designed to reinforce community spaces. We want to give back to supporters of book culture. So in a way, we're trying to anti-disrupt an industry. We've got an industry that's being disrupted by Amazon that we like. We like that industry. We like mom and pop, brick and mortar bookstores in downtowns. We don't want to shutter storefronts. We believe that they really contribute not only to the culture around books, but also to their culture in their community. They're great citizens. They partner with local stores and businesses, and they introduce children to reading, and bookstores just generally, like, they're too valuable to lose. And we can't allow them to be disrupted by a wave of e-commerce that kind of washes them away. We have to fight for the culture that we believe in. And personally, my life was saved by books. You know, I grew up with a single mother and who was mentally ill, and it was a really difficult childhood. And during that time period, I looked to books for a community. I looked to books to expand my knowledge of the world, to connect to other human beings. It shaped my worldview. It created really what I value about myself was nurtured through books. And I want to make sure that that experience is available to other people. And bookstores have an outsized importance in that process. If bookstores go away, books will become a less important and vital part of our culture. People will talk about books less because they won't have that physical reminder of books when they go into their communities, and they won't have that partner to stores and individuals and book clubs and authors getting people to read. And so to keep books a vital part of our culture, we have to fight for bookstores. So our mission is to support them in a world where e-commerce is becoming a greater and greater part of everybody's consumer activities. And right now, we're looking at Amazon growing year over year at a very rapid pace, and COVID has even made it worse. The pandemic has increased Amazon's market share quite a bit. If you look at Amazon sales and bookstore sales over the past 10 years, you can see that in 2010, bookstore sales in the US were over $18 billion. By 2019, they dipped below $10 billion for the first time. Meanwhile, Amazon's rate of growth puts it at 80% of the market by 2025. And if you get to the point where Amazon owns 80% of the market, how many local bookstores are still in business at that point? And if you're a publisher or an author, is it a really good ecosystem that's going to support you in your career and your business if one single player has 80% of the market and that kind of market power? So we're trying to create a solution that helps keep this at bay. So independent bookstores need to participate in e-commerce. And a lot of those stores have very limited resources. Authors, publishers, and fans, they need an alternative to Amazon that effectively converts into sales. And customers who are socially conscious need a way to buy books online that's easy, quick, and frustration-free. One of the things I like to say is that people will do the right thing, they will do the ethical thing, if it's just as easy as the alternative. But if it's harder, it's a lot tougher to get people to buy in a socially conscious way if you put up barriers, if it's more frustrating. So we're trying to create a seamless experience for our customers to help them make it easy to do the right thing and buy a book in a way that supports their local independent bookstore. So Bookshop's model is the bookstores don't actually do the fulfillment. The fulfillment is done by a wholesaler. The reason we do that way is it takes the randomness out of the equation. We have over 1,000 bookstores on bookshop.org, and if an order is sent in before noon, we can ship on the same day through our wholesaler, Ingram. And that will go to the customer's address without the bookstore having to actually fulfill the order. And also that means that we're not limited to bookstores' inventories. Some of these bookstores are 500 square feet, but Ingram has an inventory that matches Amazon's. So you can compete with Amazon on inventory and turnaround time. And for a bookstore, it makes like setting up an e-commerce solution. They can do it in 30 minutes. And there's no cost to them. So they can do it right away, create a web page about as easy as it is creating a page on Facebook. And they can start selling books to their customers, which is why we got 1,000 stores on the platform so rapidly after we launched. We're only a year old, and we already have 1,000 stores. Now, one advantage we have against Amazon is that this is human curated. So we don't have algorithms and we don't have paid placements. All of these selections, whether it's a list of science fiction books or staff picks for an individual bookstore, these are all created by human beings. These are recommendations from people who love books, who know what they're talking about. And if you look at actually what makes people buy a book, people buy books because somebody they trust recommended it. They don't buy books because an algorithm told them to. They buy books because Oprah told them to, or their best friend told them to, or their teacher told them to. And that's what makes human curation so powerful. And it gives us an advantage against Amazon that Amazon will never have. These are people that devote their lives to books, telling you what books you should read. Because we're a shared platform, we can rank in search results. We can improve the platform and have every store on our platform improve. Our shared user accounts means that if I bought a book from one independent bookstore 6 months ago, I can check out with one click because I don't have to re-enter all of my payment details. Because we source our orders directly from the wholesaler, we have fast and reliable fulfillment. Bookshop.org is easy for customers to remember. We can create recommendation lists and content that can create viral traffic, which we've seen a huge benefit from in the first year. And we have a bookstore finder where people who want to support a particular independent bookstore can find one bookstore to benefit from their purchase. And over 2,000 people choose a bookstore to support every single day in the US. And bookstores, on their side, they get the whole profit margin from their sales, and they don't have to have overhead. They don't have to deal with returns, inventory, customer service, their publisher credit line, sales tax filings. And they still get the customer data if the customer opts in to sharing the data with their local store. So most of our sales are individual bookstore sales. And how do we actually get away with that? Well, we earn a percentage on non-bookstore generated sales, such as our affiliate program, which I'll talk about briefly next. So, e-commerce is social and influencer driven. We all know that by now. Bookshop is built for affiliates like digital publications, influencers, and affiliate programs are really important because publications need financial support from affiliate programs. Affiliate links are an average of 20% of each digital publication's revenue. Before Bookshop came along, if you wanted affiliate revenue by writing about books, you had to link to Amazon. Amazon was giving you 4.5% of every sale. That's the only way to support your content about books, was to link to Amazon. As a result, anybody who cared about books, who read about books online, were put into a funnel that went directly to Amazon. That's part of what fueled their incredible growth over the past 10 years. Now Bookshop has an alternative where anybody can generate a custom link to a book, whether it's an author, a book club, a publisher, Condé Nast, like Town & Country Magazine, BuzzFeed, whoever it is. They can link to Bookshop. If we get a sale, they earn 10%, which is more than twice what Amazon offers. And a matching 10% goes to support independent bookstores. So they're not cutting independent bookstores out of that sales channel anymore. And independent bookstores can now participate in affiliate revenue. And if you can see, We've gotten some major affiliates now. In the first year, we've Time Magazine, Politico, CNN, BuzzFeed, LA Times, the New York Times, the Today Show. So it's been a really successful process. Generally, these publications feel good about sending customers to a source that supports local business, especially during a pandemic. And we're helping independents grow our online market share, which, they're outnumbered when it comes to direct-to-home deliveries, about 300 to 1 from Amazon. So the size of the pie that we can grow by moving more customers into an independent-friendly channel is huge. We're just beginning. Even though we're really successful, we're really happy with the success we had in our first year, it's just the beginning of a sea change that we can have, where local businesses are supported by online sales. So in our first year, we sold about $50 million worth of books, and that resulted in $10 million to independent bookstores. Now we're at over 12 million, and we've also launched in the UK, which just hit its £1 million mark. So we're going to launch in Spain in about 3 weeks, or perhaps a month. And so we're really excited to bring this model to new countries and support bookstores like all over the world.
Thank you, Andy. Really inspiring story. I mean, as an English Lit graduate, I have a lot of sympathy and empathy with real books and local bookstores and discovery and recommendations from friends. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I also think in my opening, I talked about the growth of Amazon, but also the importance of the high street and community and everything. So I think you guys, with what you're doing and also the social commerce aspect, are really kind of at the nexus of what is happening right now. How do you think about marketing at the moment? I mean, you're only a few years old, maybe even, was it a year old, did you say, Andy?
Yeah, we launched on January 28th of 2020, so a year and a month.
So how do you think about getting your story out there so that more consumers actually know about Bookshop?
It is almost all word of mouth. I mean, first of all, if you have a good story, especially an optimistic story at a time where there's a lot of pessimism and a lot of gloom and doom,
right,
people will gravitate towards that optimistic story. People need good news right now. So if you can frame your story, your company's story, as good news, and also get people excited about what you're trying to do, you can get a lot of really credible, just word of mouth. And that is by far the best kind of marketing. We do a little bit of Google AdWords, but really it's word of mouth. And also the affiliate program makes a huge difference. So we have over 1,000 stores. Each one of those stores has a community. So those stores can bring in their communities. Also, book clubs, like Reese Witherspoon's book club has now started linking to Bookshop.
Have they?
They bring in their community. So it's through all of these different affiliates that you start building a much larger community as well.
Right, got it. And one last question I have from the audience is, do you have any well-known authors who are kind of ambassadors for you?
Yes, I mean, we've gotten some nice, like Margaret Atwood has tweeted about us. We have Ibram Kendi, who wrote How to Be an Anti-Racist, has sent us a lot of customers, and we really love getting their support and the fact that they're supporting independent bookstores at the same time.
Great. Well, look, I'm very inspired, and I think I'm definitely going to go and check it out. So thank you for making the time to share the Bookshop story with us this morning, Andy.
Thank you for having me.